Welcome to the show. Caracas is one of the most congested cities in Latin America. For decades, transportation infrastructure has been neglected in Venezuela's capital, so commuters could spend 2 to 3 hours in their cars each way. But that drive to work can take less than half an hour on the back of a motorcycle. Motorcyclists are known for zipping between lanes, but they're just as known for causing accidents. It's created a growing discontent, and bikers are starting to have an important political role. America's Now correspondent Markovits explains.
Zipping in between lanes and zigzagging through bumper-to-bumper traffic, motorcyclists in Caracas are infamous for their ability to evade the city's chronic traffic jams. Due to the gridlock, motorcycles have become wildly popular here, a cheap two-wheel alternative able to bypass clogged city streets.
Caracas is a pretty congested city with an awful lot of people, so to get somewhere quicker when I'm in a hurry, I use a motor taxi.
But as thousands of bikes flood the capital every day, motorcyclists are now largely blamed for creating chaos on the country's roadways. Far beyond breaking traffic laws, the two-wheel invasion has become a serious health hazard. Venezuela is the world's third worst country for motor vehicle-related deaths, and motorcyclists, or motorizados as they are called locally, are largely at the center of the debate for public safety.
They don't respect the law. No one controls them. If they were regulated by the transport ministry, that would be perfect, but they aren't. Anyone can be a motorbike taxi driver. There's no control.
This motorcyclist lost his life weaving between lanes when he slammed into a bus on a busy highway near Caracas. Fellow motorcyclist Franklin Ramon found him dying on the road.
You don't want to be riding your bike every day because it's dangerous. You see too many accidents.
Local NGOs estimate that 3 motorcyclists die every day in Venezuela. Despite the associated danger, two-wheelers have become a way of life for many residents like Roberto Colmenares. After an almost fatal motorcycle crash 12 years ago that cost Roberto his leg, he continues to work as a motor taxi driver.
I
was in a coma, and the doctors decided to amputate the leg because it was too damaged. It was already infected, and the infection could pass to the rest of my body.
Even with the high risks that come with his job, Roberto is committed to his profession.
I keep doing because it's my passion. I like bikes a lot. Besides, in this period of my life, it's my livelihood. I work as a moto taxi driver. I have no other source of income.
Roberto's comments echo many in Venezuela. Beyond just these motor taxi operators, the country as a whole has become increasingly dependent on motorcycles. It is estimated that over 800,000 bikes are registered in Caracas, a city of 3 million people. This is in part due to Chinese investment and government policy.
Motorcycles made with Chinese parts have taken off in Venezuela, especially among the country's poor.
The socialist bike is the biggest selling one right now in Venezuela.
Carlos Herrera, industry representatives say that partnerships between Venezuela and China have allowed the poor to improve their quality of life.
They get to their jobs on time and they get home earlier.
One can buy a bike for as little as $200 in the black market rate.
The sector has grown almost 200%. There are 7 bikes for each car manufactured in Venezuela.
But the boom of bikes has also brought widespread criticism. Local media and pedestrians have decried bikers as a plague for their sheer numbers and frequent use in crimes.
Any motorcycle at this point will scare anybody. Anyone on a motorcycle right now could have a gun, they could just stop and shoot you or rob you at any moment. The majority of people and my friends have been robbed by motorcycles, have been killed by guys in motorcycles.
In 2013, Caracas had the second highest murder rate in the world. Many locals hold motorizados largely responsible for the country's spiraling violence.
They are demonizing us here in Venezuela, and we today have come to show our face as workers and not as criminals. We are parents, not only while riding bikes, but also in the house. We put on an apron and we tend to our children and our families. And that's why we say we are not criminals.
Experts say, however, that motorcycles have indeed become integral for the country's criminals. Roberto BRICENO heads the Venezuelan Violence Observatory.
There is a paradox here that happens regardless in this. It's true that the majority of motorizados are not criminals, but the majority of criminals in Venezuela are motorizados. And this causes confusion in the country. Why? Because the overwhelming majority of crimes against people and against properties and homicides are committed with motorcycles. And these are committed with motorcycles because it's very easy for criminals to move and flee riding them.
In response, the government began to crack down on riders, invoking a curfew for motorcyclists in certain states and trying to enforce stricter traffic laws.
What the president did was a decree to try to regulate motorcycle traffic in Caracas, but the force of the motorizados was stronger than the government decree. It was not complied with, it's not enforced, and this indicates the anarchy that we are living in within this country, a state that doesn't work.
But as Venezuela has been rocked by anti-government protests in recent months, the issue of the motorcyclists has dragged to the center stage of politics. Reports of protesters being attacked by armed men on motorbikes have spread across the country.
Jose Marquez is a student at the Central University of Venezuela, and he claims he was attacked by armed motorcyclists while participating in a recent anti-government protest. He said the attackers are part of a pro-government militia known as colectivos.
We went running to the exit, and I saw the motorcycles and I turned around. When I looked back, I heard five gunshots, and the man in front of me dropped. I don't know if he was killed.
Similar reports and homemade videos have gone viral across social networks and local media and have sparked public outrage. Some legislators are demanding executive action be taken against colectivos. They say such groups are being used to do the government's dirty work. For their part, colectivo leaders deny any involvement in the recent rash of violence against protesters. ALEXIS TOVAR is the head of a motorcycle colectivo group in Caracas.
We know this to be a strategy of the opposition, and it rallies around the image of the motorizado because the opposition saw that in the years previous to the current government of President Maduro, during the government of President Chavez, the motorizados have supported both. On the political side, I can say that we are the subject of persecution, of demonizing us to try and put us at odds with the national government or to try and make us fight the national government.
In the public backlash against the government and motorcyclists, protesters have erected barricades to stop traffic and also strung wires across streets to prevent the motorizados from coming in. These methods have killed at least one motorcyclist. This has infuriated the colectivos.
If someday President Maduro makes the call for motorizados to go out into the streets and confront the opposition's barricades, I am sure this would be over in 24 hours, only 24 hours. Until now, we have supported the call for peace. The opposition believes this is a joke. Good for them.
With the outcry, colectivos remain steadfast supporters of Hugo Chávez's socialist revolution, now being led by Nicolas Maduro.
The national government, at one time President Chavez, and after him, see in the motorizados a group that provides political support for the government. And part of this political support is based on not enforcing traffic laws for motorizados and not imposing restrictions on them.
But as the death toll continues to rise on the nation's roadways, calls are growing on both sides of the political divide for action. And as tensions continue, Venezuela's motorizados may soon lose their free reign over the city streets.
Our thanks to Martin Markovits for that report. As the government seeks to engage the bikers, some of the more organized moto-taxi groups are calling for clear laws because their livelihoods are at risk, especially if the violence continues. They're proposing a ban of motorcycles from freeways, late-night riding, and parking restrictions to stop bikers from blocking the entrances to subway stations and hospitals.
Coming up,
the large investment of China in Latin America.
China is Brazil's top trade partner now. And the reason why is because China, in its quest for growth over the past several years, really has had to identify and procure raw materials from around the world.
America's Now.